What's up, y'all? Welcome back to 3 Star Draw. I am down south of 77. This is a channel where we talk about G.I. Joe Classified and G.I. Joe Classified related things. Today, we're going to be doing the subset on the show that I like to call Limelight. Why Limelight? Because everybody else says Spotlight, and I like the color green. Today, we're going to be talking about number 73. Edward W. Lealoha. That's right, baby. Torpedo. All right, there he is, number 73, Torpedo. Now, I thought I still had my original Torpedo file card, but apparently I do not. I looked all over for it and I couldn't find it. So I had to pull it up to read it here. This is Edward W. Lealoha. Now, I've never been to Hawaii personally, but I'm thinking Lealoha is probably not that common of a last name. I don't know. I've never been and looked through a white pages. They still have white pages. So I think they were just kind of, I don't know. I think when they come up with Lealoha, they were just kind of gripping at the fact that we got to figure out a way to make everybody know that this dude is from Hawaii, because the original figure was pretty much suited up in a wetsuit and you could not see much of his face. You could see enough to know that he was, I mean, he looked Caucasian. So I guess they did that to differentiate, to make sure everybody knew he was a Hawaiian. But it kind of feels like they were just kind of throwing stuff together. I feel like if Hasbro had made me a character, I would have been like Dwayne Whitecracker or something like that. I can say that. So he is a warrant officer, and he was also a scuba instructor before he ever enlisted. He was an expert in 3 types of martial arts by the time he was 19. Now, I've never had that much discipline about anything in my life. Martial arts, black belt. I've just got one of those expandable dad belts. That's about as far as I can get. But so it don't really come off that way. But Torpedo, he's a badass. Yeah, and you don't really think of him that way. But he is also a demolitions expert, and he is an expert as most Joes in all NATO small arms. Now, on his file card, it says he spends his off duty hours perfecting his fighting skills and his marksmanship skills. Sorry, stutter there as I almost knock him over. Marksmanship skills. He's a vegetarian. I knew there was something wrong with the guy. So they say his teammates regard him as highly competent professional, but he has the personality of a cold fish. So as we know, they don't portray him that way in the comics, in the cartoon. There's always going to be that difference there. I like the cartoon version of Torpedo, and that's why I have this sitting here, because I don't have his file card, so I wanted something else torpedo-y to set up here. This was one of my favorite Torpedo appearances. This is the Revenge of Cobra. This was the second miniseries, and although he was in the first, I liked him in this one. I don't actually own a copy accessible of the mass device, but this is the best one anyway. I mean, come on. Out of all the 5 parters, this is the best one right here. This had the 85 characters, 84, 85. Actually, it had all of them, had all of the characters through then, but this introduced, a lot of people's favorite characters. But it did feature Torpedo when they went to the island of no return. The very astutely named Island of No Return, because they blew the damn thing up and it sank into the fucking sea. So there he is. But I liked him in this. He was awesome in that. So that's why I have it there for background and a little bit of reference. So this classified version. I don't have his file card, but I do have my original Torpedo. However, he apparently served alongside Quint in the Navy in the USS Indianapolis. There's your Jaws reference. So yes, over the time, my Torpedo, his O-ring is gone. I do still have him. He's complete. He's actually got his crotch and his thumbs. So this was a very basic figure. I don't have any of his other accessories left. But Torpedo is a special character for me because this right here, all of him with his accessories, this was the first Joe that I remember having when I was a kid. No, why does this thing fall every time I do a video? When I stand here, it's fine. Anyway, so Torpedo was the first Joe that I remember having. I had a lot of the early guys, but I have very fond memories of having him. I remember him being my first figure, and then I got, many, many more after that. But when he was out, this was the first one I remember ever having. So Torpedo will always hold a special place for me. And I'll try not to break him anymore. So the classified version is somebody very close to me who is actually a professional scuba diver, has their scuba certificate and goes all the time. And when saw he was coming out, was like, oh man, it was like we got to get Torpedo. And at the time, I was only able to really get a couple of figures. He was along, and of course, released with Scrap Iron and Shipwreck, and that is in the wave that got me into collecting Joes, or collecting classified rather. So they were like, man, I'm getting you Torpedo. We got to get Torpedo. So they got me Torpedo, and here he is. And he's a really awesome figure. He's kind of basic. He's slim. He's a smaller figure, but he should be. He's got to have a swimmer's body. So he comes with a spear gun, and maybe I was lucky with the spear gun because mine was straight. It has a little bit of a bend up here, but I mean, you can't even notice it. The spear gun I like. I've seen people kind of bag on it, but I mean, I like it. He the original, you know, he come with the spear gun. He should come with the spear gun. Definitely, that was always his it was his weapon. With this one, he was his weapon. So I like the spear gun. I like the silver spear tip in there. He does have that pops off now on this one. Of course, this is 2023, and they can definitely do a lot more with the skin tones. See, I'm Dwayne Whitebread, Cracker Bread. So you can definitely tell that he is not straight up Caucasian. I think they did a good job with him personally of making him look like he is of that descent. I like the face sculpt on him. It looks like he's in thought, like he's concentrating on something, which they say he is a, absolute professional. So he's professionalizing. Scuba gear is cool. Backpack is backpack on him is kind of plain actually. I would have liked to seen him to do more here. I think they missed an opportunity here to do more with his backpack, but it functions for what it is. It does fit him well. The hoses plug in there and plug in to no, they don't plug into the mask. That's right. The mask has the hoses and plugs in there to his rebreather. So there's that, and there is that, and he's got his dive knife. Got some paint apps on it there. The blade's black, but I like the red hilt on the handle. On the hilt. The hilt is the handle. The knife. I like the red on the knife. Let's just leave it at that. So this is cool. He's got his dive computer with all of his measurements there on his oxygen, and that's probably some kind of a radar. Goes beep beep beep. There's So I thought that was cool, and my very close diver friend, when we were unboxing this guy, was like, "Okay, so when you pose him, because I've got one of these stands, and these actually work really well. So I pose him like he's swimming. So, or like when you pose him, he's got to be or needs to be like he's looking as he's if you've got him swimming, he's got to look like he's kicking, and he's got to be looking at his readout so he can get his oxygen and know what his levels are, because obviously that if you're a diver, that's probably something that is pretty important. So he's got his fins, and I did not escape with the fins being straight, but I didn't try to heat them up and I didn't try to straighten them out, because I don't know if you've ever worn dive fins, but if you try and walk in dive fins, they do that. So they bend. So if you angle him, and he could look like maybe he was pushing and gliding here. I've saw a lot of people that have straightened these out, and they look fine. It's a little annoying, but for once, with something that Hasbro has given us recently, these are supposed to be floppy. They're not supposed to be just straight up harder plastic like we wish most of the stuff was. But he's he's a very sleek looking figure, and for being kind of basic, I mean, he needs to be. This is what he does. He dives underneath, and he plants explosives, and he fights off giant tube worm things, and that's what he does. He's their underwater demolitions, and he's a seal. So not just a seal like you ever seen Jay and Silent Bob. Um, no, like a seal. So he's a badass. And Torpedo getting that ass. Come on. I'll show you a cold fish. I'll whoop your damn ass. So there he is. I'm gonna set him down. He does come with this SMG. Not much to it. The magazine is detachable. It was kind of like when they were getting this dude ready. They were like, all right, well, we got to give him something other than a spear gun this time. So he's got to have a SMG. Now, there are some weapons that will fire underwater, and there are some weapons that will not fire underwater or right after coming out of water. I'm not sure which this is. In my mind, this is definitely one that fires underwater, because, he's swimming up, and he climbs up on a boat, and kicks his gear off, and storms on the boat. Like, hey, G.I. Joe, stop the engines. I'm going to put a hole in you. Pew. He don't sound like that, actually. Really, they really went with the surfer vibe with him in the cartoon, and that's what I like. I like the way he talks and throws out his little quips and stuff, and there you go, hang loose, pedo. I can't wait to get the dragonfly so I can make him and Wild Bill have a conversation. But he is a cool figure. I'm really glad to have this dude in my collection, and I'm really glad my friend got him for me, because he is dope, and we need water guys. I've always liked the environmental type Joes and Cobras, particularly the water and the few Arctics that we got. Well, I mean, we had quite a few, I guess, looking back. But I've always liked the aquatic guys and the water guys in GI Joe and Cobra both, which is really weird because I live in Tennessee, and I guess maybe that was my imagination going, man, this could take place in somewhere far away from here, run far away to the ocean. The ocean for me is any ocean anywhere is like, I don't know, 7 hour drive. So I can't wait till I can go back to the ocean so I can take Mr. Aloha here, Aloha, and we can go play in the surf. And I've seen people that do some really cool pictures of him coming ashore. And I did some with him in Shipwreck a while back, not long after I got him. But I mean, they were good pictures, but it was in a creek. We don't have beaches. We've got freaking rocks. So there he is. There is Edward Lealoha Torpedo. Very nice dude. If you don't have him, I really suggest picking him up, especially if you're going to do any kind of water display. One thing I forgot to mention on his swim fins here, like he has the red swim fins, and he has the red hilt on his knife, and from my understanding, the eel does not. Most everybody has taken and swapped his fins with the eel fins. And I may be doing that soon as I open an eel. Don't have an open eel for him to fight yet, so he just swims along beside that Fortnite boat, stalking Copperhead and Crocmaster. Now, why the hell the Navy SEAL dude in full scuba gear is in the swamps is a story for another day. That is all, my friends, for Mr. Torpedo here. If you like what I'm doing, I'd appreciate you like and subscribe. And maybe get me in the algorithm somewhere. I hope you like the videos. I plan to make more of them, and I hope to have you watching them. Y'all keep them straight out there.